Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this series, I take a rough rock or a slab and I take you through my whole process of how I make a cabochon. So this week, got a piece of Pinolite. Let's make a cabochon. So I had bought a piece of Pinolite from Highland Park Lapidary, and I'll put a picture here. This is what they had for the picture. And this is a picture off of Dan Hurd's website, Dan Hurd's Prospecting. And that's, in my mind, that's how I wanted the Pinolite to look. And this is what I got right here. I took the rock, I slabbed the whole thing up, and I kind of complained about it a little bit in the last video where, you know, a lot of times you'll buy a rock, you'll see a picture, and you'll get the rock, and it does not look like the picture. And this didn't look like the picture. What I was looking for was white, these white flowers in here to be a little whiter than this. Obviously, this is really gray. So if you go on Highland Park's Lapidary website, they have a disclaimer that, yeah, the rocks, you know, might not look like the picture, and they'll work with you on that. Well, after the video aired, I got a call from Highland Park, and they wanted to work with me on this. They offered to swap out the rock, you know, want satisfied customer, and I give them a thumbs up for that. I really do. But since I already showed this rock on the last video, I'm going to go ahead and make a cab out of this. So yeah, I'm not slamming Highland Park Lapidary. They'll work with you on this. It's just, you know, it seems like every time, you know, when you order rocks, a lot of the times you do not get what's in the picture, you know, and I get it. You know, when they buy it, they don't know what they're getting. You know, they buy a mineral probably, and you know, it is what it is. So I'm not mad at Highland Park Lapidary. It just, sometimes I wish, you know, and they're not the only ones. If you're going to put a picture of a stone up, it should look like that when you sell it to somebody online. That's just my beef on that. But I'm going to go ahead and make a cab out of this and see what we can end up with. So let me move these out of the way here. So I selected this piece here, and of course I don't have a marker. So this is kind of what I was interested in, are these flowery looking things right here. So this piece probably had the best looking ones that I could tell, this slab. So we're going to do I'm going to do a shield here. And let's see. We'll come in from this side here, right about there. I think we're going to do the 1.25 inches. So I gotta find a marker, so I'm going to have to stop this for a second. Okay, for not being prepared, I got my ultra fine Sharpie here, and I'm going to put this right about there. Mark it out here. And I'm going to take this downstairs and we're going to cut this out on the trim saw, and then we'll take it over to the cabber and we'll grind it down to the lines, get it on a dop stick, and then we'll make a cabochon out of it. So if you want to look at the Highland Park, I bought a saw from them and stuff. I'll put the link down below in the description. So check them out. All right, we'll see you downstairs. All right, we're down here on the 10-inch high-tech trim saw here. I'm going to cut this shape out, and then we'll move over to the cabin machine. All trimmed out, let's move over to the cabin machine. We have moved over to my Kingsley North 6-inch cabin machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with the 80 grit. I'm going to kind of rough it out a little bit. Then we'll move over to 220 grit and we'll grind it down to the lines. And then we'll move over to 280 grit to kind of clean up the marks from the 220 grit. So let's start cutting or grinding. Well, this ain't going to take too long. I thought the Pinolite was a little harder stone than this, but it's going pretty quick. All right, going to move over to 220 grit. All right, got that all ground up on the 220 grit. You gotta remember now, when you're doing a radius on these two hard wheels, don't stop, especially this one here, this 220 grit. And I'd like to say, it's kind of nice to do a soft stone occasionally. You feel like you're really making some progress here. So now we're gonna move over to 280 grit. Now we'll place this on the dot pot to heat up, and we'll put a dop stick on it, and then we'll make cabochon out of it. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, we're all dopped up here. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just gluing a stick to the stone with some lapidary wax here. And I like to do it this way because it gives me a little bit more control. And I like hanging on to the stick better than hanging on to the stone during this process. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut in what's called a girdle. It's going to be an 1/8 inch to 2 millimeter-ish up from the bottom, a flat spot all the way around the stone here. And I'll come in at an angle like this and work my way down to the top edge of the girdle. Then once I establish the girdle, then I'm going to start grinding my way to the center of the stone. So we'll start on the 80 grit, and then the 220, and then the 280. Then we'll move on to the polishing side. So let's start cabbing. Okay, I established my girdle here. You can kind of see this flat spot along the bottom. You got a little angle going there like that. So now I'm going to hit this edge here and work my way towards the center. Now stay away from your girdle because you established that. You don't want to be grinding into that anymore. All right, since this stone is so soft, it's not taking me long to do this. So now you can see I got kind of a rough dome, and I kind of worked my way towards the center here. So now I'm going to start actually doming it and bring the top down a little bit and then get a nice round dome here. Okay, now I'm not putting a lot of pressure in the stone here because it's super soft. Not super soft, it's soft. So I got kind of my dome established here. So I'm going to move over to 220 grit and finish this one up. All right, got the lines from the 80 grit ground away. Kind of rounded off the edge here. Got to be careful, like I said, soft stone, so you don't want to put a lot of pressure on here. So now we're going to move over to 280 grit. All right, this is not going to take very long. Now, I got it smoothed out, got my edges rounded over the way I like, and now we're going to move over to the polishing side. All right, we're over here on the polishing side. I got a 600, a 1200, a 3000, then I got a cerium oxide disc on the end of the shaft here. So we'll start with the 600. All right, now we'll move over to the 1200. Now we're going to move over to the 3000. All right, I dried it off and looked at it, and I'm not going to show you until after I get off the cerium oxide, so we'll see you there. All right, took the cover off the end of the caber here, and what it is it's a foam pad that screws into the end of the shaft here with a sticky cerium oxide disc on it. I like the disc. It's impregnated with cerium oxide, so you don't have to deal with any powder or anything, and it works pretty good. So let's see what we can do with this cab. Little pant leg here. Can't complain about that. Turn the water off here. And there is the Pinolite Cabochon. All right, I'm going to take this upstairs, throw it in the freezer, get it off the stick, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right, let's take a look at this Cabochon. Okay, shine, a little undercutting, because this stuff was really soft. But yeah. Okay, got some of the petals in there that I wanted. So this Cabochon will be available on Etsy. I got a bunch of them on there the other night, so I'll try to be good and get these things on there, and so you folks out there can take a look at them. Got a few little sparklies going on in there too. So there it is, Pinolite. So let's flip the camera around and we'll finish this up. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed me making a Cabochon out of this stuff right here, from this to this. Not too shabby. Next week, got a piece of gabbro. We're gonna, or indigo gabbro. We're gonna make Cabochon out of this here. So this video will come out every Saturday, and then I have another series that comes out every Wednesday where I cut 10 rocks in half, common rocks anybody can find. We look at those, and then I'll make a cab out of each one of those. I'll show you I actually do something with these rocks here. I appreciate everybody out there, the viewers, and especially the subscribers, and I hit 20,000 subscribers. That is awesome. So if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Absolutely free. Go down and push the subscribe button, slide over, give me a thumbs up, everybody, because that gets the analytics out there so more people can find this content. And then you can hyperlink it on your phone, you can share it, and then you can push the bell button so you get notifications when these videos come out. And then I'm going to put a playlist up for this series of videos here, so you don't have to hunt them down. You can start with episode 1 and work your way up to episode 68. And then I'll let YouTube put a video over here. So thanks again. Appreciate you coming and watching this video. That's all I got, and I'll catch you later.